Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the Babbling Irons channel. And we're actually quite happy this week, despite a lot of negativity recently. We got our first Premier League win since October, which feels like just crazy to say. When we beat Everton this weekend, and something we saw on the Sunday confirmed was Dawson's move to Wolves for about 3.5 million, and yeah, that's all gone through. So I guess the kind of topic of today is, do we need to replace Dawson this January transfer window? Because we did see a few signs at the weekend that, a couple of our centre-backs probably aren't going to stay fit for the rest of the season, and it's not going to be, that comfortable moving forwards. But initial thoughts, Mike, do you think we need to act now in the January transfer window, or can we hold off until the summer?
I'm quite torn on it because part of me feels that I would rather us not go and get a permanent deal or go get a kind of loan to buy deal this window if it means we can get a proper defender in the summer. As we know, Bonner's going as well in the summer. As it stands, no contract has been given, and he's obviously in his last year. For all we know, Zuma could go in the summer because he seems to be struggling, and there was obviously that one header where his knee just seemed to just give out on him, and then seemed to play the whole game injured.
I don't know how he survived that.
No, nor do I. But wow, I do know how he survived that. We were playing Everton. That's how he survived that game. I actually know it's complete disrespect when they were terrible. So let's not say no disrespect.
I think they know as well. It's fine.
Because quite frankly, that is a disrespectful comment, but they were awful. And I think Everton fans would agree, as harsh as it is to say. So I'm kind of loath to committing. We do have 4 centre-backs with Kera. We also brought the kid from Brazil who has played some games at first team level. So a part of me would say you need to develop. We need to get better at developing from within. We brought this kid to play football. There's no point just bugging him in the under-21s when that's a lesser level than what he was playing at before we bought him. Kind of seemed nonsensical. I know the argument would be, I'll get him used to the league or the country. But again, he's not going to get used to the Premier League playing in that division at under-21 level. So part of me would kind of feels that, well, maybe we get our way through it. But to your point, none of our defenders look like can stay fit. Ikea looked like he got injured at one point. Zuma looked crocked for a majority of the game. Bonner was about the only one who looked fit. And even he, at times, you look at him, go, bless him, he is running through treacle.
He is about 34 now.
He is. And to be fair, he had a good game. He was brilliant when you put him in the middle, I think. I think play him in a 2-man defence now, I do think he can get exposed. But I think if you put him in a 3 in the centre, I do think he's quality there. He does consistently talk a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that, if there is a deal to be had, then it's worth exploring. Obviously, there was the link we had with Alex Desai or Diassi, I think his name. How do you pronounce it? Obviously, they've now been linked with United and Bayern. That was never going to happen. It was a non-starter from the beginning, especially as the fact that Badiashile had been sold to Chelsea. So it was always kind of one of those ones that is, we're clearly being used again by an agent to get his player's name out there.
One other player we were linked with actually was Harry Maguire. It looks like that isn't going to happen. It looks like he's going to stay at United now. Do you think that would have been a good replacement on a loan deal maybe until the end of the season? You're looking at probably a like-for-like homegrown replacement is what ideally Moyes will probably want to bring in. So that would fit that criteria as well.
I know some would say like-for-like, but if I'm being honest, it's not. It's a step up. No disrespect to Dawson. He was quality for us. But let's be honest, Dawson is our 4th choice centre-back, potentially 5th, depending on your preference between him and Kera. If Maguire comes in, he's ultimately pushing Zuma for a starter's place. Or if we go to a back 3, he's an immediate player coming in. So it would have been a step up. The problem that I have with Maguire is that he's very good in a mid to low block, which is obviously what we do. But this is one of the things that we've been struggling with is how we're getting out of that and playing. So if we we continue the season in a 2, then he's fighting with Zuma to get in. So again, is he going to play in a 2-man defence if that's going to be our preferred? So it kind of then you go down the route of Maguire would be a good addition, but it's only a good addition if we're switching to a 3 at the back.
Yeah.
And then the conundrum is, well, actually, do we have the fullbacks to support that? Yesterday would have suggested we probably have one for the left side, not convinced on the right side. So again, then you have to go again in the market. So whilst Maguire would have been quality for us, you then have to go, well, what are the repercussions in the overall squad build? And if you were to get Harry Maguire, you're arguably then going to switch to a back 3, and that means you have to go again in the market for the right side. And do we have the budget for that? So it's like I say, it's an awkward one because all intents and purposes, it's a good deal because he's a good passer. He brilliant for kind of defending crosses. But if you're looking to step up a bit more and have a bit of a higher line, which is one of the things that we have tried in recent weeks, then he can start to get exposed with that mobility in and around him and balls in behind, which is why he struggles so much at United, because you have a lot more ball and you have to be a lot more forward thinking, and is why he's sometimes been caught out. If he's in a game where you're sitting and holding, he's a great player. It's just when you want to develop it into another way is when he starts to be a little exposed, and he would be good for us. In my opinion, he would do better than what Dawson has done for us. Maybe not as much as a goal threat as Dawson has been in that time, but I think he would have been better in his overall play. But again, only if we were being in that really kind of low mid-block that we've played majority of the season is where I see him fit. And again, we would have to go to 3 at the back and then readdress other positions to compensate for him.
There is just a slight kind of feeling that maybe this summer just gone, we shot ourselves in the foot a bit with letting a youth player go, and that was Alese, and he's absolutely killing it at Sunderland. I think he had a bit of a shaky start, but recently, the fans have really enjoyed what he's been doing. He's been playing also at left back in the last few games as well as centre back, so there's that versatility to play across the line. He always looked as if like he was going to be the one player from our youth team to step up into that first team, and he looked the most promising. There were probably 3 or 4 players, and he was the one that was mostly standing out. And then that move to Sunderland kind of came out of nowhere after a pre-season game in the summer. Have we kind of just messed ourselves up here? Because this would have been the perfect time to maybe bring him in, with Dawson leaving.
My personal opinion is yes. I think we absolutely and utterly underutilized him in the time of Moyes. We've had many an injury, and also at left back, we've had issues at left back for the entire time, which kept seeing Johnson played on the left and then put on the right. Alese also played a pre-season game for Moyes at left back. He then didn't play him at left back because obviously he's then looking, well, I'm playing Johnson at right back. He is young. I don't want to play Alese at left back because he is young. But the truth of the matter is, you have to develop players and then try and put square pegs in round holes. The other option was you was playing Fredericks at right back. And I know some people liked him, but he was a terrible player. He was a sprinter in football boots. That is it. And playing Alesi at left back, at least what he would have offered us as well, whilst he was still learning and developing, he would have made mistakes. You have to accept that of a young player, but he would have given that defensive solidity. He would have been able to sense danger if a defender was moving out of place, dropping into those kind of spaces. But also we would have developed him on the ball, which is something we would want because we'd want a ball playing centre back. So
I think also he would have had the opportunity, not just in the Premier League, but Conference League, Carabao Cup, even FA Cup. So there would have been plenty of game time for him as well.
Yeah, there would have been. There'd been plenty of time for him over that 2-year period where Moyes has been here and Alesi has been in and around the team.
Yeah,
he had plenty of time, and he had a good game against the obviously the Europa League. It was a solid performance. Him and Longelo had solid performances, but then we didn't set. And we also then could have sent him on loan. We refused to because we wanted him in the team, and then he didn't see a single minute of football.
Yeah.
Instead, we decided to completely hodgepodge the team and not develop. And then we've sold him, and he's doing well at Sunderland. I know some will say, "Well, it's Sunderland, it's a championship," but also those same fans that will be saying that I've also probably likely have said at one point or another, we need to scout the championship and look for good young players out of the championship.
Exactly.
Bring them up because that's where we've been strongest. So if that's your mindset, then you then have to look at the Elise one in a different way, because if he's performing well in the championship, you would most likely be turning around and saying, that looks like a decent young player, maybe someone we should be looking at. So I do think we've got ourselves in the foot because, again, it's a youth player. We are in desperate need of homegrown players. So two parts of just that alone is something you need for European qualification. Not qualification, but registration. You need, I think, at least 4 youth players technically and 8 homegrown. In Premier League, I think you need 8 homegrown. You can only have 17 international players unless they're under the age of 21. So again, it would have given us that quota, something to develop ourselves. Again, that flexibility to play left centre back and left back. It's just kind of, again, it feels like an opportunity missed. And during his time in the under-21s, obviously there was a lot of conversations around Jamal Baptiste. I said throughout that entire period, Alisi is the better player. He is far superior than physically, mentally. Obviously, there were some gaps, but he's still learning and developing. But technically speaking, he was better as well in terms of like his technical ability. So, what I found interesting was there was so much focus on Jamal Baptiste, whereas Alisi was clearly the stronger player and our captain of the under-21s. That is, just in case anyone's like, "Well, isn't our captain?" And it feels like had we not done what we done in the summer, which we sold him for about 500,000, and again, something stupid, we held back his development, and now he's playing much more consistently. He's looking a better player, and his pace, he's got such good recovery pace as well. It's something we've all said, we've got no pace in our defence. We've got no pace.
It's instantly shown as well, isn't it?
Exactly. And whilst, I think there's a lot of people obviously getting really excited about Bassi, who is at Rangers last season. Very similar profiles. A left centre-back that was moved to left-back. Wasn't great in terms of his crossing ability, but from a perspective of being able to get forward, being at pace, being able to be strong, physically imposing on wingers, excited people. We had potentially that if we would have cared to develop it. So I do think we have massively shot ourselves in the foot because that would have been a player we could have gone, well, you're not going to be, our 4th choice because Kerr is there, but you will be 5th. And whilst 5th sounds bad, we'll also look at you as an option at left back when Cresswell and Emerson are not playing if they're injured. And also, we're probably going to switch to 3 at the back. So in actual fact, you're going to have more opportunities in other games. So we had plenty of opportunity in which to develop him. I think we took the easy route, decided not to develop, and just went, off you go, mate. You're not going to go anywhere. And at this point in time, he's starting to prove some people wrong because I think we've got into this mindset that our youth team is overrated and our players are overrated. Now, some of them are. It's just par for the course. But some players needed the ability or needed the opportunity to develop to actually show that. And we haven't tried to develop a player. Even Ben Johnson's development has been stunted. I know some people will disagree with that, but it has been stunted by consistently putting him in and out of the team when he's doing well and not allowing him to develop in one particular position. You're essentially hindering. And even when he came on the other day, putting a couple of awesome crosses with his left foot, he's not left footed. He put in better crosses than I've seen Cresswell do all season in like 3 minutes of playing down that side. So sometimes you've got to develop players, and we haven't done that. And I do feel after this massive ramble that, we have made a mistake in getting rid of Alesi because he could have been someone to step in to that void with Dawson, or he could at least been out on loan for 6 months in some football, and then we could have brought him back in at this point after selling Dawson. It just, the mind boggles when you've got 2 centre-backs leaving in the summer on a free potentially. You've got a young lad who is desperate for football. You could have sent him out for a year, let him develop for a year, and then had those 2 players on their year-long contracts, see them out, and then bring him back at the end of the year to play in his final year to earn a new contract. But no, West Ham's idea is you get rid of the young player, don't develop him, don't even see how he develops over the course of this year, keep your 2 aging centre-backs who are going to leave at the end of the season, and then be left with, come the start of the season, obviously we've got Kera and Zuma, but you just look at the thought process and go, well, where is the thought process there? Why are you not waiting to see how a player develops before letting me go, bearing in mind you have two that are 100% likely to leave at the end of the season. Mind boggles.
Well, just to kind of stay on topic of this this video and just wrap this up, because I know a lot of people will be saying about Alessi now. We've mentioned him, thinking like, oh, that was probably a mistake now, looking at Dawson leaving in January. So just to wrap it up, as a final thought, I think that we are playing a bit of a risk if we don't replace Dawson this January, because I think Moyes wants to play a back three. And I think with the centre backs we probably have to play a back three, because, like you mentioned, Zuma's not going to be fit for the majority of this season now. Again, he was pulling up, maybe felt tightness, so there's a reliance on him to be fit most weeks. And then you're left with Ogbonna and Kera, who, again, aren't the most steady in terms of A, match fitness for Ogbonna, and B, just reliability. And, Kera, we've seen some mistakes from him. So then you're kind of forced to, again, play someone like a Cresswell in a back three or a Ben Johnson in a back three. So if we do that, we are playing a bit of a risk considering the position we're in the league. But personally, I think he does need replacing, even if it's just a similar personnel to Dawson, or even slightly better than that, because there is slightly better than Dawson probably available on loan. Whether we'll do that, I don't know. We're still, about a week away from the January transfer window ending. So personally, I think we should replace him. But what about you, Mike? Do you think we can get away without?
Yeah, I know I said I'm loath to replace because I prefer the summer, but I think based on the fact that Zuma seemed to play an entire 90 minutes injured and tends to look injured the majority of the time he plays for us, is a worry. Obviously, Ogbonna is no spring chicken, and again, does tend to pick up little niggles here and there. And again, he's only just coming back. So I think it would be naive of us to rely solely on Kera to be the fully fit centre-back, which, he has been this season. He has been fit and he has played all over the place, which I don't think has also helped some of his performances.
Yeah.
I think arguably we do have to find someone, but I don't think we'll find someone the quality of Harry Maguire, because again, as I say, if we do look for someone like a Harry Maguire, it's the other repercussions it has, and it's whether we've got the budget in which to then go and do that. So I think we have to be very selective in who we do buy. And probably need to focus on someone who can play as part of a two. But again, that does then leave us with ultimately 5 centre-backs going into 4 positions, unless we're looking maybe to shift a right-back and Kera being one of those covered players. But again, it looks a bit of a mess because actually you can't see the strategy behind it. And Moyes has already made his statement that he doesn't want another centre-back, or he's not looking for one. But I suspect there is a wish to find one, and it's probably sensible, bearing in mind the injuries we've had in our defence this season.
Yeah, fully agree. And it's a big few months for this football club as well, because we've got some tough games coming up, and we could find ourselves in a very difficult position in about a month's time. So we don't want to regret that. Let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think we can get away without Dawson, replacing Dawson, or do you think we definitely need to strengthen in that centre-back department, and maybe even, splash the cash a little bit this January, sign a starting centre-back, maybe with the injuries to Zuma and also Aged's match fitness as well. So let us know in the comments. Follow us over on Twitter at Babbling Irons as well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and Mike, until next time.
Come on, you Irons.